Welcome to the Positive Persistence Podcast, where ordinary people inspire your extraordinary success. Hey, what's up, Positive Persistence family? Welcome back for another episode. Today, I'm going to be talking with Mike Stiles, who's an avid marathon runner who has completed a measly 75 marathons in 46 states, if you can believe that. Mike's journey is actually marked by his perseverance and dedication and has transformed his initial doubts of even being able to finish his first marathon into an ambitious goal of running a marathon in all 50 states. We discuss his insights on overcoming adversity, the power of community support, and how running has become a metaphor for life's changes. See you on the inside. Mike Stiles, welcome to the show. So happy to have you here.
Great to be here, Ian. Thank you for asking me to be with you today.
Yeah, for sure. So for our listeners and viewers who obviously don't know, I met Mike through my wonderful wife, Dana. And Mike is an avid runner as well. I won't say my wife and I are avid runners. We're runners. But happened to bump into Mike on Christmas Eve morning at a local running event. And had the pleasure of running a couple miles with Mike, and we started talking. And Mike has an amazing story, and I think that it is something that needs to be told. And there's a lot of pearls of wisdom about not just running, but also life in this journey. And I believe this conversation we're about to have. So, Mike, again, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And I want to dive in right here. You have been like your running journey spans nearly three decades, right? And 75 marathons, everybody. I'm going to repeat that. 75 marathons across 46 states. Can you reflect on how your initial doubts about running your first marathon evolved into a commitment to complete marathons in all 50 states, which I believe is awesome. That's amazing.
It's a matter of just keeping at something, persistence, and getting that first one done, and with a big doubt on my shoulders. Can I do this? And just to go back, tell a little bit, I had a friend of mine, Tim, take me to a 5K, 1997, 2 miles in. I had to stop and walk for a while. And but I got back to the Duneland YMCA gym, and I noticed how positive everybody was from the Calumet Region Striders Running Club. I said, I really like this. Mm-hmm. People are supportive of each other, happy. I see a lot of smiles, a lot of conversations. I said, I'm enjoying this running club, the Calumet Region Striders. Yeah. So I did that, started doing a lot of local races, started to get more running, a little bit farther. 1998. 20 years high school reunion. My friend Hal says, Mike, let's do a marathon together. He'd done a few before that. Hal, I can't run that far. And he kind of kept at it. He was persistent in his ways of getting me to run. And I said, okay, we're going to do it. Trained, went to Anchorage, Alaska for my very first one. And he was there waiting for me at the finish because he was at that time a much faster runner than I was. And it was just so nice to have him, never forget, finish line. Mike, you're a marathoner now. And that kind of hit me. I was like, wow, I just finished a marathon. Later that year, Chicago, do my second marathon. And I finished about the same time. It was still a struggle. But I think just having two under my belt was helpful. Well, then I come initially to my first setback. After the turkey trot, Thanksgiving Day, next day, I'm doing some laundry. And I bend over to pick up my laundry basket, and I feel this huge twinge in my back. Go to the doctor, MRI. I've got a herniated disc, L4, L5. Okay, so we're going to make that better. Okay. I go through rehab, and I don't run a marathon in 99. I get back at it 2000 and do another marathon for Opportunity Enterprises, which is local.
So you were sidelined for a year?
Initially. So only after doing two marathons, and just meeting some more people there with the Opportunity Enterprises, which is a local organization, Valpo, that provides services for mentally, physically challenged people. Met a lot of great people, had a program there, ran several marathons through Opportunity Enterprises, got faster, wasn't quite as much of a struggle, and I noticed my small gains, my small wins, and I think that I'm getting a little bit better at this. So we're going to keep at it.
What were some of those small wins, those gains that you were stacking up?
I think a small win would be where I would be, first of all, just having my overall finish time being faster, doing some shorter races, 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons. It's getting faster. Just knowing more of how to train and what to do, what to eat throughout the week or prior to a longer training run, how to manage a training run, and got me to, let's say, 2004. And I did several marathons. I did one in Houston, did one in San Diego, and I did another one in New York City. And I love to travel. And at that point, I said, well, I've done now a number of different marathons, different states. I think I want to combine my passions of running marathons and traveling, and I want to join the 50 States Marathon Club. So I'm going to run all 50 states. And so it's taken off from there.
So there is a club out there of individuals who have done this.
Yes.
50 marathon in every state.
50 states. I believe at this point, there have been a little over 2,000 people around the world that have completed all 50 states. And so I'm reaching to the point where I'm going to join that little 2,000 plus people, hopefully at the end of this year. It's going to happen. And less than a year from now, it'll be done.
That's awesome. And I was hoping you could highlight for people who aren't from the region who Hal Higdon is and why he is so important in this running story from his expertise and background, if you will.
And actually, Hal is a longtime runner. And actually, he now probably in his early 90s. He's still running. And actually, I've got a poster up here in my office that he did. Now, the Hal I'm referring to is not Hal Higdon, but it's a childhood friend. But and Hal I'm referring to is my age. He's 66, and Hal's still important to me. So Hal will remind me. I go back to the Anchorage Marathon, my first one, because I told Hal at that time, I go, Hal, I'm not doing another marathon. And I just think that he reminds me of that every time I see him. Oh, Mike, you're not going to do another marathon. And he chuckles, and I do that. And so it's always a chuckle between us.
And you said that after your second marathon, you blow out your back, herniated disc. What mental strategies do you think, if you can remember back, did you, let's say, employ to stay motivated, overcome that obstacle, and then get back to running a marathon? Because a lot of people, they'd have been like, you know what, that's a sign, quote unquote. That's a sign. This isn't for me. I'm not supposed to run marathons anymore. That really messed with their mental state about what I can accomplish because I've had this adversity. And they kind of hang up the running shoes, if you will. So what was it that helped you get over that, stay motivated through that, and then continue on with this amazing journey?
Well, I think but you said, like, maybe I should hang it up. And I think there were people out there that thought that, even told me that. And that was motivation. That was motivation to say, people, you should not do this anymore. You shouldn't run marathons anymore. You're going to hurt yourself. And that people telling me I can't do that really was a huge, huge motivational tool for me. Being told shouldn't, couldn't, and I will, no, I'm going to do this. And that has continued on again to this day.
What do you think, and I'm curious, just what do you think in you sparked that adversarial energy when someone told you that you shouldn't do this anymore? You're going to hurt yourself. Because again, other people would have listened. They would have said, you're probably right. I shouldn't do this. I might hurt myself further. But you said basically, oh yeah,
exactly.
Watch me. Where do you think that comes from for you? Like, what is that spark that says, you're not going to tell me what I can and cannot do?
I think the want to do something hard and difficult, and that to build on that. Because I'm going to tell you that many things in my life I can point to having completed outside of marathon running, I will owe to the fact that I do run marathons and I can do something hard and think about all the time and effort I've put in to do that. I look at it, if I can run a marathon, I can do anything. And not just one marathon, but multiple marathons and continuing on. And so, I've had other setbacks since then, medical setbacks that I've come back from, and I continue on.
It's amazing. And I know that in our conversation that we had while we were running, we were talking about the community, your community that has supported you. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I was hoping you could share some personal stories about how we'll call them your support staff, your circle of influence, right, has influenced your running journey and your ability to push through those difficult times you've had.
It's always helpful when you have a group of friends, people that are like-minded. So like-minded runners. So I've made a group of friends in the last, let's say, 20 years that I run with. And so you make plans to meet this person or a group of people at a certain time, certain place to run. And so you get up and you want to be there. You don't want to not be there, and maybe depending on you also. So having that circle of friends, support people to have that, and if continue on to this day. And I think that that's very important. The running community here in this area is huge. People are very supportive of each other, and just knowing that I've met people like Bob, Joe, Ron, Tom, Steve, and all like-minded people, all marathon runners, and that we do this together. When you are doing training like that, where you're running long distances for training, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16, 20-mile runs, something about a 20-mile run. And when you're sharing that with somebody, it's difficult. It's hard. So you're out there, 3 hours, more than 3 hours, and you've completed that. And there's a sense of accomplishment. There's a sense of almost calmness. I've done this. I can do this. And I think with all the training runs I have done, that when I'm actually running a marathon, I can go back to these runs that I do and think, okay, I'm in a marathon. I'm at mile, say 13.1. I'm halfway done. Okay, this is what this looks like, in a local run. Then I keep on breaking again down. So once I get to 16 miles, I've got 10 left. Well, that's, 10 miles is from my house to Olson Park in Portage on the Prairie du Lin Trail. And then I start breaking it down, and it shortens the marathon itself. So all the people I've met at races, the like-minded people that also have done marathons. There are a few other people out there in the area that are trying to do all 50 states. And that's motivating to me also to see that they've done it and continue on. And I love to be able to share that with them. I follow people on the 50 States Club that are doing marathons, and I post on Facebook when I complete one, and get the congratulations from people, and I also reciprocate in the same way. So it all comes together, and then other support staff, thinking of later like doctors, nurses, massage therapists, physical therapists, all those people that really I have needed. I've needed to get me through, because it takes a village. It's taken a village for me, and I think that without those people, it would have been a lot more difficult for me to get through what I've done.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is amazing when you look back at all the people that have actually touched your life and has influence in one way or another to help you get to this point and continue on. And I want to go back to something that you were saying about when you're either about to start a race or you're in a race and you start to think back on all the things that you've already been able to achieve. And that kind of puts wind in your sails a little bit. And I think that is it's important parallel to draw for this life in general. Like when we are dealing with adversity or a big challenge that's standing in front of us, even one that we are looking forward to, but we're kind of scared. We have some trepidation about, can I do this, or how am I going to do this? and we're able to pull on our past victories to be able to kind of bolster our self-confidence, really, and our positive self-talk. And I think that people need to remember that their well is so deep. If they look hard enough back at the things that they have been able to achieve throughout their life, big wins and small wins, and to be able to glean some positive, motivating energy from that, to be able to take on whatever's standing before them. And I think, being a person that has accomplished a couple of marathons, I can totally empathize with that, especially during the race when you are hitting that wall and you start to play that mind game of breaking it down, right? Okay, all right, well, I've only got a 5K left. I can do that. I can run 3 miles, but you're dragging. But you think back, like you said, you think back to all those runs, all the training that you've done, all the experience that you've had in life before that have gotten you to this point, that's prepared you to take this on. So you already have everything that you need within you to be able to be successful, to move forward. And I'm curious, and I know you talked about this, like you have those doubts, kind of those, we'll call them mental barriers on race day. Like, do you have a routine that helps you break through those mental barriers, or a certain practice maybe that helps you break through those doubts on race day?
Yeah, a number of things. So I think I got to the point where after the doubts with my first several years of marathons, and just getting to the point where it became easier. I mean, you're running a marathon, it's not easy, but it became easier. It got to the point where I'd get the starting line and I wouldn't doubt that I would finish. I knew I was going to finish. And I think that eventually it wasn't if I was going to finish, it was going to be how fast I was going to finish. And so I got to the point where in about 2012, I had set a goal of qualifying for the Boston Marathon. And I ran a marathon in Hartford, Connecticut that fall. And I qualified. I qualified 3 more times after that and ran Boston Marathon in 2014, 2015, qualified in 17 and 18 also. And that, wow, okay, so no more doubting. I can do this. And, as the years have gone on, gotten older, I am 66 now. So your body doesn't quite perform as well. Going through, I'm going to go back to 2014, another herniated disc, L5S1. It was awful. Didn't run at all for 3 months. And I was in a lot of discomfort. I had sciatica on my right side. To this day, I only sleep on my left side because that's what I started doing. So this day, I made a deal with myself. And marathon runners, I've made a lot of deals with myself. A lot of okay, if I do this, then I'm good. So my thought process was just get me back, rehab myself enough to where I can run the 2015 Boston Marathon, and I'm done with marathon running. So I got well enough. I ran 2015. Well, that deal I made with myself, not running any more marathons, nope, going out the window. So since then, I've done 25 more marathons. And so it gets to the point where I'm able to manage a marathon. And so one thing I'm proud of myself of right now, this is more like my mindset here that I've adopted over the last few years with having to deal with back issues, my pelvis not being out of place, being told by a chiropractor, hey, Mike, your pelvis is out of place. So I know it is. And that's why I'm here, just try to get it enough back and, where I can manage myself, which I do. But I realize that if I want to keep on doing this, I've come up with what I call my triple A, my acronym of triple A. Be aware of what your body can and can't do. The second A, which is the hardest A, accept it, what you can and can't do. But then the third A is adjust your training, adjust the miles I'm doing training wise, adjust the pace I'm running. So maybe I'm not pounding, as hard on the pavement. I'm not, but again, my ultimate goal is to cross the finish line of the marathons. At that point, when I came up with that was probably the beginning of last year. After not, in 2024, it would have been, let's go back to 23. I ran 7 marathons. 2024, my body kind of started to shut down. I was having trouble even running three miles. And I went to see a chiropractor, my pain management doctor, and went to see my physical therapist. that got me through my 2014 herniated disc, and she was wonderful. Renata, going back to my pain management guy, Dr. Demko here in town, wonderful. And got better, got a little bit better. When I left Renata's office at Lakeshore Bone and Joint, she asked me, Mike, what do you if you had to put a percentage on it, what are you right now as far as health-wise? I said I was 75%. Saw another massage therapist, got a little bit better. I did an online program last year, about this time last year. I found an online program to help me get even stronger and I kind of realized that one reason I've had back issues for a number of years, my core wasn't strong enough. And so this program focused on making your core stronger, your deep core. And so since that day, since I started a year ago, did this program for a couple of years. It brought me back to the confidence level that I needed to to be able to complete 5 marathons last year. Yeah. I'm actually revisiting the program as we speak because I thought it was so important to me to do this and to keep at it. And every once in a while, you need the outside help, which I'm getting. So this has been a wonderful program. I've been able to get that confidence back that I'd lost a little bit, and to the point where last year my times are a lot slower, but it doesn't matter because that was my acceptance of that. I'm just trying to cross the finish line of a marathon X amount of more times. Yeah.
It's time to ask yourself, when was the last time you prioritized you? Did you know that research shows that nearly 85% of high performers struggle to maintain a performance mindset while juggling the demands of work and personal life? Those who actively prioritize their performance mindset and personal growth are 30% more likely to achieve their goals in business and life. If you're feeling crippling stress and anxiety, or if you're feeling guilty when you take a moment for yourself, or if you're stuck in the grind and feeling burnt out, you're not alone. Many of us yearn for more, but struggle with the fear of being judged or feeling selfish. And you want to step into the next best version of yourself. That's why I created the Rinse Method, which got me from paraplegic to marathon runner. Backed by science-based proven strategies and now customized for high performers like you. If you're stuck and stressed and want clear steps that you can implement today to move forward, make sure you visit thepositivepersistence.com to download our free Rinse PDF.
Let's talk about that second A of your 3 A's, Mike, that acceptance. Because I feel that a lot of people have a hard time, number one, accepting their situation. And then they also will, once they do accept it, they have now become complacent because they've accepted their situation. So like it would have been very easy for you to say, this is the second time that I've hurt my back. I can't perform like I want to. I can't run as fast as I used to. I'm going to just hang it up because what's the point? I've accepted my fate. What stopped you from becoming complacent and now actually putting into action your third A, which is adjust? And I love that because something that I use is, no excuses, just adjustments, right? But a lot of people could use accepting their situation as an excuse of, I'm not going to put forth any more effort.
I think when you put a goal out there, you make it a goal public. And many people knew or know that I wanted to run a marathon in all 50 states. And so I think about that, Mike, you've made this public, you've put it out there, and you've been on this journey for, when I joined the 50 States Club, it's now been over 20 years, and started my first marathon 29 years ago, almost. And I can't stop here. I'm too close. So I'm going to get this done, and it's not going to look the same. It's not going to look the same as it did several years ago as far as how I traverse through a marathon course, but it's still 26.2 miles. That hasn't changed. Right. What's changed is that, what I ask of my body, I can't do as well, but I can still do it well enough. Where if I adjust my training, how'd that look? Well, I just started running less miles. The miles I was running weren't as fast. And I realized that I have this base of miles that I have in my body that has worn it down some, but it's given me the knowledge of how to navigate 26.2 miles when I get to the starting line. Mm-hmm. And again, I got to the point where years ago that I went from doubting if I was going to finish, how fast. And I'd say now, the 5 marathons I did this past year, coming off injuries, maybe a little doubt there. My first marathon last year, but I went through it. I got it done, and much slower than I'd been maybe 4, 5, 6 years prior. But I got it done. That's all that mattered, because it's not what I'm looking at as far as time anymore. It's the completion of my ultimate goal of running a marathon in all 50 states. Yeah. So if I'm out there another hour or more, hour and a half more than I used to be, what's an hour, hour and a half? It doesn't matter at this point. It's crossing that line and being excited about doing it. And right, okay, I'm done. I'm going to celebrate this for a day or two, and then I'm going to look ahead to the next challenge.
Which, for people out there who aren't runners, there is something out there called the running bug. And I think that runners get bit by it, as you did after you ran your first marathon. You're like, I'm not doing this again. But something bit you, and exactly. You've been hooked, right? Yeah, because I've had that same sentiment when I get done with a marathon or a half marathon or a long run. Like, you know what? Yeah, I'm not doing this again. I don't need to do this again. Then a couple of days go by, and you start thinking back on that race, and you're like, yeah, maybe I could do this a little bit faster, or maybe this other race would be fun. And so you put yourself through this grueling process again of training to go run another long distance race. And that's something, as I hear you talk about all the things that you've dealt with that could have stood in your way of not achieving this goal, I just hear you saying that you found a way to make it happen. Like, no matter what, you were going to find a way to continue on this journey. And I wonder, what advice do you have for individuals in running, or maybe even in life, when the process is a grueling one and it is going to be, but there's that goal out there. There's that thing that you want to achieve. What advice would you have for people who might be facing that uphill challenge to get to the place that they want to get to?
In my eyes, my mind, I have a saying: to be able to train and run a marathon, and in life, something that's difficult like that, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you know it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. And you run marathons, you know what it's like when you say you hit that wall, you get mile 18, 19, 20. Okay, I'm going to get uncomfortable. But Mike, I think that you knew this was going to happen. Accept it, get through it, because you knew this was going to feel this way. And after having done so many marathons, that I feel at this point, I manage a marathon really well. It's something that I enjoy. I take pride in that. Yeah, I can get to the starting line. I'm going to get through this first, let's say, 10 miles. And really, a lot of times, and people might have a hard time believing this, though, that I'm not getting going comfortably in a comfortable space until mile 8, 9, or 10. And so it's kind of like called the 10-10-10 rule. First 10, kind of try to get your stride, kind of try to settle in. The next 10 miles, get your pace, feel comfortable. And then the last 10 is actually the last 10 kilometers, which would be at mile 20 to 26.2. And I've gotten to the point where I'm able to manage my marathons the last several years, where I'm able to do a negative split. What is a negative split? So I'm able to run the second half of marathon faster than the first half, because I know how to manage a marathon. I'm not going to start my marathon miles 1 through 5, 6, or 7 too fast. I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to settle in. I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to be able to do this. And so that last 10K, I think you get to the point. I realized I'm going to finish. I started getting excited. I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish. And my last several marathons, that last mile, I've made my fastest mile of the entire 26. So my last mile is my fastest the entire 26.2.
That's incredible. In that last 10 kilometers, as you are, I'll just speak for myself, battling the physical, mental, emotional demands of the moment, what are you telling yourself? How are you getting through that part? Or is it the fact that you had that expectancy, like you knew already what it was going to be like in that moment, so you've already prepared for it? How do you get through that last 10K?
Well, and for going back to something I said a little earlier about breaking down. Okay, I'm at 10K. What does a 6.2 mile run look like? And I go back to starting here at home, running on the Prairie Dune Trail, and that's running out to McCool Road and back is 10K. How many times have I done that? That's easy. I mean, that's easy. That's something that I do all the time. And then I get to mile, let's say 22, and I've got 4 miles left. Well, that's to route 149 and back. And yeah, I do that, and it's fine. And I realize also that there's other people around me maybe struggling, and I do like the fact that many times I am passing people that last 10K, and that I'm focused on the prize. I'm focused on what's waiting for me at the finish line, which is not only a medal, but just the joy of achieving, something difficult like that. And knowing that, okay, I'm done, I'm finished. And I do enjoy, I have a good meal afterwards, and I celebrate, kind of take a few days or week and just, kind of back off a little bit, and then I'm back to work. And so thinking all those things, and thinking thinking about all the people, my support staff, all the people that I've run with that have helped me get to this point. I can't let them down. This is what I have been to them for, to help me get through these tough times. And so, so there's a lot of different things, like I said, that come into my mind. But it is physical, it's mental, and it's emotional, all that. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Mike, your story is amazing. And I think, again, there are so many pearls of wisdom that we can tease out of this, not only for running, but also for just life in general. About, the last thing you were just talking about there is like when people get stuck and they feel like they are having a hard time with the challenge or with life or with adversity. If you can think back to when you were doing things, let's say easily, or when you were in the season of your life where you were at your best, like what were you doing then? Like, can you put yourself in that mindset of what you were doing then, or that energetic set of what you were doing then, and then bring that forward into what you're doing now to really help you actually accomplish the goal that you're seeking? And I want to ask you this, kind of rounding out our conversation here. As someone nearing a major milestone like you are, what does resilience mean to you now compared to when you first started running? And how do you hope that your story might inspire others?
Well, resilience is everything I've talked about, today, and getting over those hurdles, and not letting, any kind of, sometimes everybody's going to have doubts about things, and being able to get over those and be able to remember I can do hard things. Imagine that I can envision that I can cross finish lines again. Notice my small wins. Right. Shift my mindset if I start to get negative. And I know to expect things to be hard. And if you employ your acronym of FRINCE, which I just did, that you're going to be able to accomplish your goals. And it could be small things. I remember watching, this is maybe a couple years ago, and there was I believe a general in the U.S. Army, and he was giving a college speech where he was the main speaker. But he just said, small things. Make your bed today. That's how we started. Make your bed.
Right.
Get up out of bed and make your bed. That's the first thing you want to do, and build from there. Well, make your bed. Well, no, big, small wins, grow from there.
Right. Absolutely. That's awesome. Well said. Mike, I want to thank you for joining us today and for dropping these pearls of wisdom. And I want to wish you, well, you don't need luck because obviously you are an expert in doing what you're doing. So I'll just wish you well wishes on your journey of hitting all those 50 states by the end of this year. And I'd like to let our listeners and our viewers follow you. So I know you said you're on Facebook. What is your Facebook handle that they can follow you and root you on during your journey towards your 50?
Okay. Well, Mike Stiles, if you want to go on Facebook and just type in search Mike Stiles, Stiles. Instagram is M Stiles, runs 50 states. And I don't do much of Instagram, but if you find me on Facebook, and I don't post much on Facebook, but if you go through my posts, a lot of them are on Facebook when I complete a marathon. And I think just looking at that, I'll always, in my picture, I'll have my medal and I'll talk a little bit about the marathon. And I will say that I've run this many marathons in this many states, and they'll see a big smile on my face and knowing that I'm done. And it's just think looking at my Facebook post like that I think you can glean from that, okay, this is really important to me and I can get things done.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, again, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to wrap this up like we always do. To our listeners and our viewers, thank you for joining us. And remember to stay positive, stay persistent, and know that mindset is everything. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in and being part of the Positive Persistence family. We're having a great time creating this content, and we truly hope it inspires you to embrace positivity and persistence in your own journey. If this podcast episode inspired you or entertained you, scroll down, hit those stars, and leave a comment or two. Your 5-star reviews and shares encourage us and help us grow the show. So until next time, stay positive, stay persistent, and remember, mindset is everything.